affordability, and it's definitely going to be an affordability election in 2026, but could it also be an immigration election? And I think the president and his team really think they've got something here. I think they've got one of those 80-20 issues where the vast majority of the public thinks that illegal immigration in particular and widespread importation of other cultures, even if it's legal, who don't really want to assimilate and might be drains in the system, is not necessarily what's best for Americans. And I think he sees the left and the Democrats walking into a potential trap. Let me give you some evidence that perhaps he's right. First of all, I got a clip here of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and I think this is on the steps of the Capitol, if I'm not mistaken. Let's play cut one, please, guys.
Just so everybody knows, I want everybody to understand the cuts to your health care are what's paying for this. All that extra money that everybody's paying right now in their premiums, all that extra money that you're paying, it is paid for with, it is all of that extra money that the government and the ACA subsidies that was given to nearly $1 trillion in healthcare was taken out and given to ICE. So understand how these dots connect. You get screwed over to pay a bunch of thugs in the street that are shooting mothers in the face.
So when she says she said at the beginning of that clip, your healthcare, she's not talking about you and me and Sean. She's talking about illegal aliens. So it's actually illegal alien healthcare. So because we as humane people in this country, when people are here, we give them medical care. I know this. My wife worked at a county medical hospital for 3 years where people come in with cancer, they get treated. They can't pay for it, but they get treated because that's how we operate in America, because it's kind of the decent thing to do. But would we prefer if people with cancer didn't show up here illegally? And if they were here, that they could pay their own way? Of course we would. But because we're potentially discouraging people and we're making cuts to people's ability who are illegal aliens in this country, and we're using some of that money to start enforcing our border, enforcing immigrations and customs, that's the sort of thing where I think if it's spelled out to the American public, they're going to like that. It's not a negative for Trump. I think that's going to be a positive. And you're starting to see people in the establishment media start putting up a hand and saying, hey, wait a minute, guys, I think we might need to move on to some different talking points. This was a cut that we caught on, I think this was CNBC. This is Joe Kernan and Senator Mark Warner. Check out this exchange, cut 4.
What changed with Democrats on that? I know Biden let in 12 million. Is it about votes? Why didn't these people, why isn't it a crime to be here? Not that they haven't committed a crime.
The border being as open as it was under Biden was one of the reasons Trump got elected. But the idea...
So you're glad it's closed now?
Do I think we ought to not have...
So we'll play the rest, but this is stunning. That was a great pause, by the way. That was a phase. It'd be inappropriate if I described what that face reminded me of, Mark Warner. But anyway, here's the point with this. Is that this is a Democrat admitting the open border was one of the reasons Biden lost. That's a good thing for the country. I know that we want to see Democrats lose. I announced my main New Year's resolution for 2026 is to do everything I can to make sure Democrats don't win the midterms. But that's a big evolution, because it would be great if we wouldn't destroy the country every time the Democrats win, because like it or not, they'll probably win another presidential election. There'll probably be another Democrat majority in the House or the Senate. As hard as that is to comprehend at this point, as much as we got to fight against it, it'd be nice if the Democrats started to say stuff like, hey, maybe we shouldn't completely open the border to whoever wants to get over here. All right, let's play the rest.
A fully open border? Absolutely. I've said that all along.
So with the 12 million that came in, what do we do?
The question I have for you is closing the border versus sending out ICE agents across the country to randomly pick up people based on quotas that have committed no crime. I don't think the American people signed up for this, where you see people who are working. There ought to be a path towards legality. We've worked on that. We've screwed that up, immigration reform, for years, both sides.
But what he gets to here in this clip with Warner is that he's suggesting amnesty. He's suggesting, because Democrats say that they're never going to be perfect, they're never even going to be good. So he acknowledges that open borders is not good, but then he wants amnesty. And I want to put a flag up here also for us, because this is something we cannot fall into this trap. We had this debate with the Gang of Eight bill. You guys recall this. Part of the reason why Trump rose. Over a decade ago, Republicans were pushing for amnesty for illegal aliens. You can never have amnesty until we have a border that's completely secure. And then even then, it really does cheapen law and order in this country if Republicans rubber stamp giving people full rights as citizens when they broke the law to get here. Undermines what it means to be an immigrant, undermines what it means to be an American in a legal sense of the word. And so we got to be very careful about this because there's some reports out online. There's in a New York Times article, so I don't know if it's true, fake news, New York Times, but that President Trump said that he would do some sort of a comprehensive immigration policy. We don't know if Trump is thinking amnesty there, but that's what the word means for those of us who think about this stuff a lot. So we do not want this. And I want to put up this warning here that we're not going for any sort of amnesty at all, zero amnesty. And this is a trap that Trump could fall into, thinking that he's going to get something passed. But what it would do is, first of all, it would undermine the affordability efforts. It'll make things more expensive. And the other thing is it'll alienate his core voters who that energy needs to go into the midterms. Remember, the core Trump voter who's not necessarily identifying as a Republican, people identifying as Republican right now is not very high. There's a lot of people who identify as independent who are part of Trump's coalition. So this is important thing to flag. So also, you've got another element of the Democrat Party, though, that continues to get more sensational and more insane on these matters. Let's play cut 7. This is Ilhan Omar.
Are you comfortable, though, with the word murder?
I am very comfortable with the word murder. There is no conscionable way in which you watch the video that the administration itself has produced, and you do not see this person, this officer, Jonathan Ross, clearly murdering this woman. Not only does he shoot her in the face, but you see 2 more shots being fired on the side of the driver's window. There is no way to explain this outside of it being a clearly thought out murder and execution of this woman.
This is one thing that's really important to flag, is that when you've got someone who's convicting someone in the court of public opinion of murder, when clearly the video evidence suggests is not murder, that woman was reversing the car and then she drove straight in the officer. Whether or not she was trying to hit him or pull away is irrelevant, is that the automobile is a deadly weapon using against a federal officer, clearly obstructing a law enforcement operation. They were there specifically to protest. They were taunting the officers. We got that all on tape. And when you have Democrat lawmakers who are going on CNN and stating flat out it was a murder, a clean murder, whatever that means, it was an execution. And not great pushback there by Erin Burnett. I think she's phoning it in there at Erin Burnett. She seems to put in the least effort of anyone I see on TV news. She seems to want to be there the least. Is you guys getting that vibe whenever we watch Erin Burnett clips? Seems like it's someone who's just completely put upon to be in that chair, in that anchor chair. A lot of people would probably like that job. And she doesn't push back at all, saying it's a murder. It's not a murder. We've seen the footage. We know it's not. And so why is it legal to go out there and smear someone like this? And I was looking into this man who shot Renee Good and looking into his background, because there was initially a narrative that he wasn't very well trained or something, and he was extensively trained. And this is someone who is, I think, is a little bit older than I am, and he served his country his whole life. He spent his entire career in the military and serving overseas, and then serving in our border security and immigration and customs security. This is someone who's actually served this country for a long time and is now just getting attacked by all these lowlives. People like Ilhan Omar, who may or may not have murdered her brother. We'll say that for legal purposes. Married her brother. May or may not have. Who knows about murdered, but definitely married. Yeah, very comfortable. We're saying murder a lot today on the show. She may or may not have married her brother, and is clearly an advocate for Somalians over Americans, and is pretty open about that. And she's out there saying that, attacking this guy's personally. We didn't talk a lot about the Golden Globes yesterday for the sake of time and because they're not super relevant, though. They did get a passing reference. But I was on Newsmax commenting on Golden Globes yesterday. I was really struck by how these people are attacking this man who's trying to fight for America and actually risked his life overseas to fight for America, and then is putting himself physically in harm's way with all these crazy activists. And then you've got all these people who are in Hollywood who are pampered elites, who are rich, who are at galas, who are feted by the press and get to pretend to be other people for a living, and they're attacking him. And they're taking the side of the agitator who would have lived if not for Somali fraudsters. This is the point. I made it before, I will make it again. Is that if not for the Somali fraud rings that were taking place in Minnesota, then Renee Good would be alive. She was protesting on their behalf And there was an accelerated ICE presence in order to fight against this stuff. Let's check in on the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Fry. See where he's at today. Cut 3, please.
We don't use the word invasion lightly. What we are seeing is thousands, plural, thousands of federal agents coming into our city. And yeah, they're having a tremendous impact on day-to-day life.
Yeah, hopefully making things more secure. Again, I'm not concerned about ICE shooting me in the face or shooting the mother of my children in the face. You know why? Because she's not going to spend her day obstructing law enforcement operations where there's probably a lot of Somali fraud going on. And it's interesting how he uses the word invasion there, because I think there's invasion taking place at our border where there is a surge of illegal aliens who are coming through. And we were called racist when we used the word invasion, but now we're allowed to call ICE agents invaders. So all of this rhetoric is just, it's again, if it's not secession-y, it's very insurrection-y. I got Hakeem Jeffries as the leader of the Democrats. Cut 2, please.
Renee Nicole Good should be alive today. There was no justification for that killing. That ICE agent and Kristi Noem, they've shown depraved indifference toward human life. That's what we saw. That's what the American people saw. Renee Nicole Good was a 37-year-old mom and American citizen who was cut down by ICE in plain view for all of the American people in the world to see.
How come they never say, what was she doing? Like, was she at the park pushing her kid in a swing set? I mean, was she scooping a soup in a soup kitchen? No, she was obstructing an ICE operation while her weird lesbian spouse was taunting the officers and fat shaming them. And then she was operating the vehicle and driving it towards the officers, whatever her intention was, despite repeated warnings that she should not do that. The Trump administration's ended temporary protected status for thousands of Somalis in the United States. I think that's just fantastic. And this is the sort of thing that we need to look at this. We need to look at what is the point of immigration in this country. And the point of immigration should be to enhance what America is. And if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem here. And if you're part of the problem, we need to look at ways at repatriating people who are here who are not helping out. We need to be aware of this. It's not racist to say this. It is common sense for the American people, as my friend Scott says.